And welcome to the webinar. In this video, we'll review how to win new business using the fi360 toolkit and the proposal generator. The following scenario will show how certain tasks can be completed using the toolkit, and we'll give step-by-step instructions which are intended to get users familiar with the various features of the toolkit. So the scenario is you're an investment advisor, you receive a referral from a client. Prospect is a relatively young couple with about $500,000 saved in an IRA. You want to create a proposal that will evaluate and compare the prospect's current holdings to your proposed alternatives so that you can, in turn, win new business. The main features we'll be looking at will include the client cabinet and the proposal generator. So the first step is to begin the client documentation process, and this is done under the client cabinet. So you'll click on that file cabinet icon and you'll go into your client cabinet. If you're just starting out, maybe you've just received a trial or subscribed to the toolkit, you won't see any clients in here. So the first step within this client cabinet is to create a new client, which is on the right hand side of the client cabinet. Click on that green create button and you'll see there are some fields that you'll need to fill out. The required section is name, so if we want to say IRA couple 10101, status is prospective. We have different types of clients within the toolkit: participant directed, committee directed, foundation or endowment, individual investor, and personal trust. It's important to select the right client if you're going to be providing reports on an ongoing basis, because there will be some different features within each type of client. So we'll want to make sure we select individual investor, subtype, taxable or tax exempt portfolio, and we'll leave custom universe as no restriction, as that's more of an advanced feature. Hit the green create button and it will take you into the client home area. You'll want to access the most recent data period. In this case it's December 31st, 2013. You can click on the edit client link in the table in order to access that data period. This is where you're going to input holdings and run a lot of reports and do most of the activity within the client cabinet. So we're inside the IRA couple. We'll click the edit link and it will take us to our portfolio section. We have asset allocation option, investment policy statement, holdings and models, expenses, reports. In this scenario, we want to input our client's lineup so that we can run an analysis on it, identify any weaknesses, make recommendations, and win that new business. So we'll click on our holdings and models link and it will take us into a fresh page. Now there are a few different options for uploading investments. One is you can type in tickers, fund names, or QSIPs on the right hand side. You can type that in, select, and hit add investments once you select it from the drop down menu. The page will refresh, you'll see your investment in the list. If you need to remove an investment, just click the left checkbox and hit delete selected on the right hand side. There are some advanced options you can use for uploading investments. One is via Excel. If you have a list of tickers and dollar values, while dollar values aren't required, they will definitely help within the proposal process. You can use the analyzer to find other investments, mutual funds, ETFs, separate accounts, group retirement plan annuities, or variable annuities. And you can also utilize the custom holdings area if you need to create a proxy for an investment that isn't tracked within the toolkit. But in this case, I'll show you the easiest way to input client information, and that's going to be via Excel. Select the option on the right hand side and you'll be prompted to select a file to upload. You can click on the browse button within this window and you can select your Excel file. Make sure that it's an XLS format file, 97 to 2003, not an XLSX, which is a newer version. If it's an XLSX, it's going to reject the file. You want to make sure it's 97 to 2003 XLS. You want your Excel file to look like the sample screenshot here. Ticker in column A, amount in column B. You can have titles for A1 and B1. And you want to make sure it's all on worksheet 1, the first worksheet in the Excel workbook. So if that's all taken care of, click on this green upload button and it will confirm that your investment upload has been completed. If we scroll down, we'll see we have $500,000 in the portfolio. The dollar values are taken care of. And the next step is to see how the funds are doing. Do just a cursory review of the investments. And to do that, click on the Reports tab up at the top. If you're just starting out, you probably won't see this custom report template section, although you can create custom reports, pick and choose sections, mix and match those, and you'll be all set. You can run those reports. But in our case, we're going to use an fi360 standard report template. We have some stock reports that you can use. So click on the PDF symbol, red PDF symbol. It will produce your report based on that holdings list, and it will go up into the report queue, which is the top right hand corner of the page. Make sure to save these reports to your desktop, especially if you're using them down the line, because the report queue will clear out at the end of the day. You'll also be able to see multiple reports generating at one time. So instead of just having one, if you want to click a bunch of these, feel free to do that. But our report is done generating, and we'll want to take a peek at the report itself and the investments in there. So click on the report queue button, it'll pop open, and you want to open up the PDF right now. So we'll zoom in, and we have our snapshot report, getting our first glance at the investments that are in the lineup. You can customize the cover page with a logo, a custom color scheme, disclosure on the front if you'd like. If you need to abide by FINRA compliance regulations, the standardized performance disclosure is available and within the reports. And we're going to get down to the snapshot itself. So the snapshot is going to look at fiduciary scores, expense ratio, and 3-month through 10-year returns. The fiduciary score looks at 11 different criteria and gives you just a quick glimpse into how the funds are doing based on that criteria. It's a third-party consistent process, and we screen funds, and you can use this as a way of monitoring funds or analyzing funds. Now, the current score is the smallest slice of the pizza pie. The 1-year average has multiple individual fiduciary scores within it. 3-year has even more, 5, 10, and so forth. So these funds, if we go down here, aren't doing too well. You can see the visual cues. Yellow is caution, red is pretty much danger. And from a visual perspective, you can see, again, aren't strong performers overall. Expense ratios with the percentile rank, as well as 3-month through 10-year returns, you can analyze that, and then look at the relative performance of median funds in the peer group and the index that's assigned to the peer group. So all those funds we just ran through, took a look at the scores. You can see there are definitely some funds that need to be addressed, and we have an opportunity to win new business as a result. So if you want to learn more about the fiduciary score, feel free to check out the Help Center. There is a brochure that you can look at. It's just a 2-page document, and there's also a detailed methodology document. Much longer, goes into much more detail, but might be worth your while taking a look at that to understand more about the fiduciary score itself. So now that we've run the client through the first screen, obviously there may be some more back and forth internally at your firm if you're making recommendations or if you're identifying specific weaknesses and doing research and providing a specific list. But once all that's done, the next step is to go into the proposal generator, which is located on the home page in the bottom left corner and in the My Proposals area in the top navigation bar. So you'll click on your proposal, and you'll see if you're starting fresh, you won't have any proposals here. So the only option is to create one on the right-hand side, just start from scratch. We can input the proposal name. We'll do sample 11123. We can change the proposal type. In this case, it's an individual investor, so we'll want to select portfolio. We can change proposal periods. We want current data as of the recording of this video, so this is December 31st, 2013. You can change how you refer to the first or second set of holdings, current versus proposed. If you want to instead do current versus recommended or whatever your heart desires, feel free to change that. And the last 2 options are for more advanced features. We won't get into too much of this, but the custom due diligence criteria evaluation will highlight your own list of criteria, and then the blended benchmark, when there's performance sections, will show you how the funds have performed over time as a whole versus a custom blended benchmark that you've selected. But we'll leave those go for now. We'll start the proposal process and see how we can import funds into this lineup. So there are 4 options. One is you can start by importing holdings from a client in My Clients. Again, keep in mind that when we went through that first screening, we input the investments in the client cabinet. So we can pull over those investments right away. So we have our current client selected right now. Remember, we started with a prospective client. and we can import that client data. So right off the bat here, you see your investments are pulled right in. Don't need to do double work. If you need to add other investments, do that on the right hand side. Change custom universes, remove investments, or start over. You can use the erase function. But the first lineup is complete. The next step is to go to the proposed lineup. And you could import from my clients again. You could upload via Excel. There's a more advanced option of using a recommended list with a model strategic asset allocation. Just briefly going to go over this. Inside of the analyzer, which is used for researching investments in the toolkit, you can build out recommended fund lists. These might have 20, 30, 1,000, however many are in there. But the model strategic asset allocation is going to be built in the My Models area of the toolkit. You can have a list of peer groups. For example, if you have 10 peer groups, 10% each, it will screen out that recommended fund list, and any funds that are applicable to those peer groups in the model, it will pick those out, give you that 10% in each respective peer group, and then it will build a list for you in your proposed lineup. So there's some more details and tutorials that you can check out again in the Help Center that go into more detail about that. Again, don't want to get too far away from the core objective of this video. Lastly, if you want to start with no holdings, you can just manually enter the investments and go along your way. But in this case, we'll upload via Excel. Ideally, you would have a list of funds that are already suitable for the recommendation, and we can upload that Excel file, and our investments will be populated. Again, if you need to add anything else, feel free to do so on the right hand side. If not, you can go to the third step. So there are three mapping options. One is you can map each current investment to at least one proposed. So it could be 1 to 1. It could be many to one. It could be 1 to many. It's up to you how you want to map over those investments if you have dollar values. The second option is that it will show dollar values, but there's no direct mapping, and we're going to use that option within this example. And lastly, if you don't want to enter any allocations, you just want to show the investments and compare on scores, performance, and other metrics, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But if we click on the second option here, we'll see that we have our list of funds on the left, which is our current lineup, and list of funds on the right, which is our proposed. Now you'll see on the proposed lineup there are fewer funds. So maybe the business perspective is saying, hey, we're going to reduce the fund list, make it more manageable, have a simpler, more straightforward process. On the flip side, if the current is, only has a few options and they're not doing well, you could always say, we're going to not only knock those ones out of the park, but we're going to provide some more options and flexibility within the proposal. So really keep in mind as you go through this process how you're going to be presenting this to clients. Now, if you need to change any dollar values, you can do this here. If you want to enter by percentages, add any cash inflows or outflows, do that before you complete the proposal. There's a green complete button on the right-hand side. Click on that, and the proposal will now be finished, and you can generate your report. Before we generate the report, just want to recap a little bit about the table here now that we have our first proposal in. If you need to edit the proposal again, click on the proposal name. You can change the status, so this one is ready to submit, but if we want to submit to the client and note that within the toolkit and keep track of it for our workflow, just click on Submitted to Client, save it, and the status will be updated to Submitted. You'll know that this has been sent out and we're waiting for response. If you link a client, and this is noted in the table here, keep in mind that first step we linked a client and we brought over those investments in the current lineup. If you win the business and they accept the recommended list, you can then accept the proposal in here and it will roll those new investments into their current lineup. So you won't have to do double work. You'll just have it accept that proposal, and then that recommended list you have will go right into the client. You can input commentary for your report, and obviously if you click on this PDF it will generate it. There's also a data export function and a delete function. So we'll produce our proposal report, click on that PDF, general report settings on the left hand side. You can put a cover page on, disclosures, logos, client name on the top, page numbers, and then you can pick the sections that you want to look at. So we're going to select a few here, and then we're going to generate our proposal PDF. So we'll click on that green button, it'll go up into the report queue, and we can access that. So again, keep in mind that when you bring these investments together, you've hopefully either had a recommended fund list that's provided by your firm, or you've went through the analyzer, and you want to focus on things like the fiduciary score. It's a third-party, unbiased, consistent process and screening tool, and allows anyone to see how the funds are doing relative to their peer group. So it could be beneficial if you're using the fiduciary score to its fullest capacity to promote that and say, hey, these funds, it's not my opinion. This is the screen that it goes through. It's hitting all the benchmarks that it needs to. It's doing solid. Scores within the top quartile, top half are normally good. Anything that's below 50 might be something to be keeping an eye on. And that's from more of a monitoring standpoint. Again, assuming you win the new business and you want to keep them on as a client, you need to provide those ongoing deliverables. But anyway, we'll get into the proposal report here. Click on the report queue, click on the PDF, and it will open for you. Now you'll see here we're starting with the cover page. Again, have that custom logo, color scheme, and disclosure. Zoomed in a little bit too far there. Going to zoom out again. But we have our table of contents now, holding summary, so the investments that are in the current and the proposed lineup. There may be similar funds within both, but it will show the difference in allocations. So we have those two lineups, both have $500,000 in them. We have a style analysis section. You can see if there's good coverage across multiple style boxes, what the weightings are between those. And then an individual style analysis, which you can review in more detail. The next section will include hypothetical performance analysis. This will show the current versus the proposed. In an ideal world, the proposed lineup will be light years ahead of the current. That's not always the case, but hopefully that is. Orange is the current lineup, blue is proposed, and this is just looking at the current allocation for both of them and assuming that it's held over 10 years in most simplistic terms. There's no allocation changes, it's just a static holding over 10 years. So you can compare on that, have some methodology information, standardized performance disclosure. Again, you'll start seeing this legend popping up. Our current is in red, our green is proposed, and blue both is overlap within both investment lineups. So we'll go down past this section again, just the disclosure for FINRA compliance, and next is the investment performance section. So you'll see here 3-month through 10-year returns. Already went over the snapshot report, so we're familiar with this setup. Not going to spend too much time on it. You can highlight the differences in performance here. Next is our investment expenses area. If you want to say that you are competitively priced just based on the funds, you can look at this expenses area. It will show you the annual cost for each investment, and then at the bottom show you the total weighted average for both lineups. In this case, the proposed lineup is around $5,800 and the current lineup is about $6,100. So there's some cost savings to be had there from an investment standpoint. Won't take into account any type of plan level fees or revenue sharing that may be associated with it. Next up is the fiduciary score scatter plot. This is going to be the most compelling section by far. Again, it's very visually driven, but this shows clients, the difference in lineups in a visceral way. They're definitely going to get the gears going, have a lot of questions, and if there's one report section you could really hit home with, it's the fiduciary score scatter plot. Just if you had to leave one section with a client, it's this one right here. So we have our current legend on the left, proposed legend on the right, and you'll see that the proposed is on the right here, has a tight offering, and then the current scatter plot is just all over the place. So definitely some issues going on overall in this section. To follow up with that, we have our fiduciary score criteria breakdown. You'll be able to see the differences in scores here, as well as the individual criteria that we go through from a monitoring basis. And if a fund has all green checks, that means it's going to have a score of a 0. If it has any failures, it may lead to a score that's around 25, 50, 75, even up to 100, 100 being the worst. So more details about the fiduciary score criteria. And then lastly, we have the items for consideration. So consider removing, consider keeping, and consider adding. This will help round out the conversation, give you action items to go after, and this will really be a great way of winning new business overall. There's customizations you can do within most of our reports. Keep that in mind, so when you do win that new business, they'll be seeing similar things over time. So that about does it for the proposal section. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, email us, give us a phone call. Really, we're here to help you out, and we want to make sure that you are getting assets under management and you are growing your business overall. We have some more videos you can check out under the Help Center. Top navigation on the right-hand side. You can send us an email from this page, or you can give us a call. You can send it directly to tools@fi360.com. You can look at fiduciary score information for the brochure, detailed methodology, sign up for live webinars, look at 2 to 5 minute video tutorials on specific sections. Really a good resource here, and will get you up to speed if you're just starting. So that does it for this video regarding the fi360 toolkit. Hope you enjoyed it, and look for more in the future.